Welcome everyone to First Thoughts on a Friday. First Thoughts on our gospel lesson coming up for this Sunday from the 17th chapter of Luke, beginning with verse 11. Yeah, it's a story of the lepers, the 10 lepers that Jesus healed. And you might recall, only one of them came back to give thanks to Jesus. And that one was a Samaritan. Now, why is that important? Well, where this is taking place, Luke tells us that on the way to Jerusalem, so Jesus is still on his way, on his journey toward Jerusalem, he's passing through the territory between Samaria to the north and Judah to the south, and Galilee to the south. And why is that important? Well, it's kind of a no man's land. And remember, the Samaritans and the Jews, they didn't get along very well at this time. There was a lot of animosity and hostility between the two. Now, they both worshiped Yahweh, but the Jews to the south, where they worshiped Yahweh in Jerusalem, that's the place where the temple was, they considered themselves the real, true Jewish people. Whereas the Samaritans to the north, they're worshiping Yahweh as well, but hey, that wasn't where they worshipped. And so it was just not a good scene at all. Not a good scene at all. But it's important to place ourselves here because Jesus purposely is passing through this no man's land. He could have just shot straight through Galilee to get to Jerusalem, but no, he's passing between this land for a very good reason. It seems that Luke has Jesus going to Samaria and also dealing with Samaritans all through his gospel and also into the book of Acts. And remember, he talked about the gospel being reached out from Jerusalem to Samaria, to all the ends of the world. Very, very intent on including Samaria in this, as if they were the arch enemies of the Jews in Jerusalem. And they weren't, but yeah, they sort of were. All right, so keep all that in mind. The 10 lepers, they approached Jesus, but they did everything right. They kept their distance. They didn't get close. They didn't want to contaminate Jesus, so to speak. And they recognized who Jesus was. Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. The only other people that called Jesus Master were the disciples. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And when he saw them, he said, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." He didn't say, "Hey, come here and I'll lay my hands on you," like he did with a leper earlier in the gospel. No, just go and show yourself to the priests. Now, why would he say that? Because in order to be healed, you had to go to the priest who would verify the fact that you had been healed, so now you could return to a rightful place in society. It's almost as if Jesus has already said, "Hey, you're healed, now go show yourself to the priest." But he doesn't say that. He just tells them, go to the priests. So off they go. Now here's the question. The priests are located in the temple, so are they going to the temple in Gerizim to the north, or are they going to the temple in Jerusalem to the south? It doesn't tell us that. But we kind of get the impression that 9 of them were Jews to the south, and the one belonged in Samaria. Why? Because that's who Jesus recognizes is a Samaritan and also refers to him as a foreigner. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But also note that Jesus didn't heal them at first. He just commanded them to go show themselves to the priest. And it was as they were obeying him that they were healed. It was his word. His word was enough to heal them. And just because, as we read along, only the Samaritan comes back to give thanks, Jesus didn't take the healing back from the others. He just asked, "Hey, where's the other 9? Where'd they go?" No. But they did, probably, we don't know, but we assume they did exactly what they were told to do. Go show yourself to the priest. Because remember, you still had to get the word of the priest that you were healed to return to your rightful place in society. All right. Now, what did this one Samaritan do? He turned back and he praised God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and he thanked him. And he thanked him. You know, those are worship things that you do. You praise, you prostrate yourself, you bow down before God, before the altars in the temple and things like that. Those are liturgical acts. And how about thanking? Thanking. The word is Eucharisto. Eucharist. That's Holy Communion. Holy smokes. You see what's going on here in this passage? This is crazy. And again, Luke points out he was a Samaritan. And Jesus says, weren't the 10 made clean? And where's the other 9, huh? None of them bothered to return and give praise to God? Wait a minute. Praise to God? He gave praise to Jesus. Yes, he gave praise to Jesus. And thanked him. You know, he was praising God, but he was praising Jesus. Wow. He really recognized there's something special going on here. And really is something special because Jesus said to this one former leper, now just refer to him as a foreigner, a Samaritan, he said to him, get up and go. Get up and go. Hey, we all say we want our get up and go, and we really do want our get up and go if it's biblical get up and go, all through the Gospel of Luke. Whenever you see those words, get up and go, it's a sign that somebody has been touched by the love of Jesus, okay? Get up and go. Your faith has made you well. Now that could easily be interpreted and spoken out as your faith has saved you. The same word. Made you well, made you whole, saved you. Oh, wow. What a powerful story this is. And keep in mind, those other 9, they still had their healing. They had the love of Jesus touch their lives too. In fact, they obeyed Jesus. This one leper, in effect, disobeyed Jesus, and he's the one getting all the praise. But it's for a very, very good reason. He's getting the praise because that is what God kind of hopes he gets from you and from me whenever we've been touched by his love in a very special way. And when we feel that, it's only right that we give him thanks and give him praise. Oh, first thoughts on a Friday. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on here. We can go into even more, like this whole borderland motif. Jesus reaching out into the borderlands of society to those who are down and out. The borderlands of our own lives. In those moments when we feel alone, we feel pushed out, we feel destitute. I mean, come on. This is one story for you and for me that we can talk about for hours, and maybe we'll do just that at another time. God's blessings be with you.